and beyond. Lee Pennington, Legends and Lore, Part 1.
Hello and welcome to Paranormal Ville, hauntings and mysteries of the Red River Gorge and beyond. Today we have the distinct pleasure of welcoming the true Kentucky legend, Lee Pennington.
Thank
Lee,
you.
Welcome to Paranormal Ville, my friend.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about Lee. He is first of all, a good friend, a mentor, a teacher, a wise soul, who is known for his storytelling, acclaimed storytelling. He's a Kentucky Poet Laureate. He spent years capturing the heart and soul of Appalachia. And we are about to dive deep into the rich tapestry of your stories, Lee, from Appalachia. So I couldn't be more excited. Lee's not only my hero and my friend, but he's also the gentleman who gave me the greatest gift a man could have. Lee wrote the poem In Shadows Canyon Red, which became the title of my first book. Thank you for that, Lee.
You're welcome, and it's a pleasure to be associated with those wonderful stories. We used to think in terms of stories being things that were not true, but stories that are true is what is more powerful than any of them.
Exactly. And that's what separates the men from the boys, isn't it?
Well, at least the boys.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a little bit more about Lee, just to give you a little bit more information. This book that Lee inspired me to write, because of you that I spent 2 years chiseling this thing away, probably 600 editions or renditions before the final edit.
Yeah, well, that's kind of on the normal side.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It drives a guy like me insane. It took me
Well,
forever.
of course it does. But you didn't have far to go.
Exactly. It's the worst part. Oh, man. But the beautiful thing is that my book has actually received some beautiful accolades. First of all, it is at the University of Louisville Ekstrom Library in the Lee and Joy Pennington Cultural Heritage Gallery,
Yes.
which is a huge honor.
Yeah.
In there with the works of not only yourself, Jesse Stuart, true Kentucky legend writers, but people like Isaac Newton, Copernicus. I mean, just unbelievable. So those are preserved in the archives of your gallery with your writings and your typewriter that has over, 2 million?
Yeah, I did over 2 million on that. Did over 1 million on that roller. I wore a roller out.
What year was that you bought that
Oh, goodness, that would have been back in the 60s.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Then the original typewriter didn't have a question mark on the key.
Really?
And the question mark key was there, but up here where it hit, it had nothing. So it would just click and then nothing would be there. So I spent a few weeks trying to figure out what to use as question marks. You know, it is possible to use all sorts of things as a question mark. But anyway, after a while, it was so frustrating, I just hired somebody to put a question mark on the typewriter.
Smart man. Just give up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Also, a great honor and tribute for me in my book is to be a part of the Kentucky Artisan Center in Berea.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a copy of the letter that I received from the president there that I'm going to give to you, actually, on camera here, man. I want you to have this copy. This is a tremendous honor to be representing all of the Kentucky artisans across the great state commonwealth and to be in that library with them. So I'm going to give you this copy when we leave.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely. It's an honor, man. All right. Lee is also the head of the Ancient Kentucke Historical Association, and he's considered an expert in Prince Madoc and the early European ties to Kentucky. How'd you get into that, Lee?
Well, always had an interest in pre-Columbian contact with the Americas, and way back I saw a chapter in a book that said that the Welsh had come to this continent and there was a lot of evidence that that was the case. And when the Ancient Kentucke group was founded by the late Jim Michael and a couple of other people, early on in its establishment, I got involved with it and did programs for it and showed films at it. And when the late Jim Michael died, since I was the oldest geezer connected with it, it seemed logical that I would be established as the president of the group, and I've been that for the last 15 or 16 years now.
Well, that's incredible. The Ancient Kentucke folklore is what we're going to try to focus on today,
Well,
and the Appalachians. Yeah, and the Appalachians being the oldest. Tell me about the Appalachian Mountains.
Well, the Appalachian Mountains is a very interesting place. They've just discovered that recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, that the Appalachians have the most unique DNA of anybody in America. And if you do 23andMe or whatever that is and get your DNA, it'll say Scotch-Irish. But it's neither Scotch nor Irish. It's a group of people that they found on the border between Scotland and England. They weren't exactly Scots, they weren't Irish, but they were fighters. And I don't mean in war, I mean with each other.
Oh, wow.
And England, after a while, got tired of them. And so they got the whole English army together, went in and gathered them up, 250,000 of them, and sent them off to the new colonies, Pennsylvania. And they didn't stop at Pennsylvania. They went straight to the mountains and up the hollers. And they've pretty much stayed unconnected to the outside world for 300 or 400 years. So it's a very unique kind of DNA, and it's just now coming out that it is a really unique DNA.
And those mountain ranges are the oldest in the world, is that correct?
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
And they're not just here, they just go forever up into Canada.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
The oldest mountain ranges we have in the United States.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's probably got something to do with, the activity is so strong in the Appalachians, the paranormal activity, the folklore that's been handed down. I know you've traveled all over the world, but it seems like the Appalachians are an epicenter of activity. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. It's the paranormal things with Appalachians was pretty much a normal activity. Mm-hmm. And nobody worried about being called believers in paranormal. I mean, it was just part of the life. I grew up around that, of course. Grew up with that, and everything connected. There was a story of a white dog that would go through the woods, and he would follow you. And I saw that white dog. And I don't have any idea if it were a real white dog or if it were a paranormal white dog that was a spirit dog. But the dog followed me all the way down a roadway on one occasion. And all I could think about was that story that I'd been told of this white dog that followed people. So I remember also there was a legend, if you dreamed of muddy water, somebody close to you was going to die. And one night I dreamed of muddy water, and my dog came home, had been shot with buckshot, crawled back under the house, and died. And I immediately connected that dreaming of the muddy water with the most special thing in my life at the time, a dog named Rex. Rex, it was some interesting things with Rex. kind of humorous. It was wintertime when he died. My dad tried to get me to crawl back under the house and tie a wire around him so we could drag him out. I wouldn't do it. So Dad, 4 or 5 times my size, too big to be crawling under the house, got back and tied around. We pulled him out. Well, it was too frozen to bury the dog, so I took him down by the creek and pulled his legs apart and stood him up. So he's looking up, and I remember the neighbor, Brooksy Hampton, came by, and Mom was sitting up on the edge of the porch, and she was crocheting, and Brooksy was talking to Mom. He kept looking at that dog. He said to Mom, "What the hell's wrong with that dog?" And Mom said, "He's dead." He said, "Okay," and then went ahead.
Oh man, poor Rex.
But those, we grew up living in the depth of those stories. It was just the way it was.
And you had some personal experiences that in your family.
Oh yeah, always had personal experiences. I heard.
First of all, hang on. Let me qualify where you grew up, your background. I mean, because you grew up. I mean, Lee is 87 years young, and you grew up in Greenup County, and without running water.
We had running water. We just had to run. No, I grew up, we were in Baltimore for a few years when I was 3 or 4 years old. Dad went to Baltimore during World War II to work in the shipyards, help the war effort. And we came back to Kentucky and bought a farm. We bought a 32-acre farm with a house on it and a well, wonderful well, never did go dry. And that was it. We had no indoor plumbing. It was just natural.
And that's how you got really in tune with the land, right? I mean, that's where that's typical of all those people in that area. Like,
well, sure.
They rely on the land. They thrive on the land.
The land. If you don't know the land, you don't survive.
Exactly.
And so you have to. And yeah, that happened to us, yeah.
So what kind of experience did you hear growing up? I know you shared one about your grandmother. Or was it your great-grandmother or your grandmother?
No, it's my grandmother. Okay. My grandmother, Laura Lawson, was Laura. Her maiden name was Fraley. And I had heard that she could make spirits knock inside the walls. So if you were sitting in a room, she could make knocks occur in the wall. And she did that. And I also heard that she could make a table walk, that, through her energy or whatever, she could make any table to start walking across the room. There was some guy in the community or nearby that didn't believe that sort of stuff at all. And he came and got up on top of one of the tables and said, "Now make it walk." And she did. And it started walking toward the fireplace. And he jumped off and ran away. Now, I heard all that growing up from my mother and from other people. And when my grandmother, she must have been about 71, 72, she was having major heart problems at the time. She was in the bed, and I was sitting by her bed and talking with her. And I said to her, I said, "Grandma, when you were a young woman, could you make the walls knock and could you make a table walk?" And she said, "Yes, I could." And she said, "It was the energy of the devil." And she said, "When I joined church," she said, "all that left and I never could do it again."
Incredible.
Yeah. But, everybody knows and loves their grandmother, I guess, but, she wouldn't have lied.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean,
they would,
and that's how these stories have been passed down through generations.
You bet.
Even the stuff that we're going through at the cabin. Now, you visited the cabin with me. Did you feel, first of all, I guess, let's back up a little bit. Lee and I came together after I discovered a strange set of footprints called the snow print. Be sure and look for that episode on one of the Paranormal Ville episodes. But a strange footprint, basically a size 13 4-digit bipedal with about a 4-foot stride, 3-foot stride, size 13. And I remember going to Dick Wilson's office and telling him, hey, man, they're going to do this show called Terror in the Woods, and it's a big thing. We're going to be the Ghostober Halloween special. That was in 2017. I said, they're featuring this crazy footprint. And when he looked at it, he immediately picked up the phone and said, I know one guy that can identify this thing, and it was you. I'm looking for the print, but I can't find it. First of all, what in the world do you think? I mean, we'll have Jeff pull up the shot, but have you ever seen a footprint like that? And you grew up hanging in the woods since you were born, right? Yeah. I mean, you even slept with the snakes outside mostly, if I remember some of the stories when you were young.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I have seen a footprint like that, but not a modern footprint. I've seen a prehistoric fossil footprint like that.
Well, Dick was right then. Well, that's a lot better description than I got out of the Discovery Channel. They're stumped. Everybody I've shown it to are stumped. That's what I feel like. Perhaps the Mammoth Cave system that runs throughout the Appalachians is like a supernatural highway, and somehow this thing popped out in the Red River Gorge and walked right beside our cabin into the snowprint cave that it led to.
Mammoth Cave was in competition with Longest Cave as the longest cave, and one of them was for sure the longest cave in the world, and then they discovered it was the same cave. And so it's obviously the longest cave in the world now, because it's and you know they've explored over 400 linear miles in that cave alone. So it's it goes all over the subterranean Kentucky, one end to the other.
And they're still discovering species that like old shark fossils and things that they've never seen before down there. Yeah,
I was fascinated when they discovered the fish in Mammoth Cave, no eyes.
Wow.
In the dark, they didn't need eyes.
No doubt. There's sensors probably.
Yeah. Just eyes, no eyes at all.
Wow. Well, the snow print, as far as I'm concerned, we're calling it like a pterodon. We're calling it like a prehistoric flightless bird in the Terra bird. Does that kind of make sense?
The footprint looks like a pterodactyl footprint. Yeah.
Doesn't it?
But, we don't have, that we know about, we don't have many pterodactyls flying around.
Well, the other theory would be it could be a Wendigo, like a shapeshifter or skinwalker type thing. You put any stock in those kind of stories?
Well, I don't put stock or take stock out of it. I say, let's look at it. Let's look at all the things we want, including those things that are impossible. You have to look at those as well as if you say, well, that can't be because it's impossible, then you're gonna miss something, and you can't do that. You can't do that in pure research.
No doubt. That's right. You got to keep an open mind.
Yeah, if you say it can't be true, then you research it. It can't be true.
Right, exactly. You manifest what you box yourself into. Yeah, that's well put. Well, the snow print still remains a mystery. But when you were up at my cabin, did you feel anything?
Well, yeah. Here's where.
Mine too.
Well, here's where I tell energy,
Yes.
And there are energies emanating from the earth itself.
Ley lines.
Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe connected to the ley lines, maybe energy running along ley lines. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I've never seen a ley line.
Me neither.
But
just heard of them.
But I keep looking.
Yeah, exactly.
But certain structures that the ancients have built, stone structures, snake effigies, Serpent Mound, Fort Mountain, Georgia, with a effigy wall there. Those things have energy running through them. I accidentally recorded at Fort Mountain, Georgia. Accidentally recorded a sound that is pure energy, and it's when I just had a camera and I was just getting B-roll kind of shots, walking across the stone structure, and when I walked across it perpendicular, I called it the Earth's heartbeat, and it sounds like a heartbeat. I slowed it down enough. I slowed it down 10 times, and you can actually hear the beat of it. And if you're going parallel with the wall, no sound at all. If you cross the wall, then the sound is there. And a good friend of mine, Ross Hamilton, up in Ohio at the Serpent Mound, after I told him that about this structure in Georgia, he took a camera and went across Serpent Mound and got the same sound. So the ancients knew that energy, and they could feel it. I was with a researcher in Sweden, and he was saying the ancients, like the Viking graves, the stone graves, the energy lines run like from this stone to this stone. Always two stones lined up so the energy goes through. And at the center point is where the most energy is. There was a mound there that in the center of that mound where the energy was where the burial was.
Wow.
So
there's energy.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and it's definitely permeating my cabin. We're gonna pick up the energy conversation here in just a second after we take a quick pause. This is interesting. This is great. Stay tuned. We're gonna flip the tape.